Restaurant Unstoppable. What the most successful restaurateurs know that you don't. I do want to hover over one or two or three of these experiences. So
Please.
Off that list of hotels and experiences I just gave to you, where do you think you grew the most? Not as a pastry chef, but as an operations person. Where did your education on how to run a business grow the most?
Well, every one of those places had some influence on me, but where I really had a huge turning point was when I went from restaurants that have one kind of mentality, which is like, they're not corporate. They used to slam plates on the floor and things like that,
Yeah.
like I told you, to when I worked for the Ritz-Carlton. That really was the first hotel that I worked in and the first like corporate setting that I saw. So it was a big switch for me. And I didn't start as the pastry chef. I purposely took a step back because I wanted to learn from someone. At that point, I had been the pastry chef at restaurants already, and they kind of threw you in. And that happens a lot. I don't know if you've noticed, I mean, you probably have, that there's a lot of times when, restaurants don't want to pay the big chef, so they'll throw up the next number two guy, and they start with somebody that's a lot of money, then they let them go, and they put, whoever was to learn to do whatever they were doing for half the price.
Yeah.
So I got thrown into the pastry chef position at a very young age.
At the Ritz-Carlton.
Before I went to the Ritz-Carlton. Now, I felt like in order to go forward, I had to take a step back.
Yes. Why?
Because I felt like there was a lot of things that I got left out that I still needed to learn, and I knew that I could grow more by working under a really great chef. So luckily, I met one of my mentors, Paul Hayward, and he's currently in Dubai, and we've been friends ever since. That was back in 2002 when I opened the Ritz-Carlton. And he taught me a lot of different, the approach about doing things because you have your staff do things for you because they want to make you proud versus fear,
Yeah.
And a lot of the chefs, they scream at you, they yell down, they talk down to you. And in the Ritz-Carlton, it was different with him. He taught me that, you just inspire, and that's going to actually get a better worker.
Okay,
And that's a lot of the mentality
How
that
do you
I
make that
carried on.
shift? How do you go from
It isn't
command and
overnight,
control
that's
and
for sure.
fear? But how do you get there? Did you have to go through this transformation yourself?
It was a lot of like, yeah, absolutely for me, because I come, especially with a military background where they're yelling at you as a drill sergeant.
Yeah.
And then being in a kitchen where there's that installation, like you're doing it because, you don't want to get in trouble. You don't want to get the chef mad. And instead here's like, you want to have fun coming to work, and you want to make it a place that people enjoy coming and making the chef proud versus being scared of getting in trouble.
Yeah. And
so it was a shift for me that took a long time.
But reflecting back at that shift, take us through it and what things you started doing differently. Really paint that picture of how to go from command and control to come with me, come follow me. How do you inspire?
It's something that I'm actually still growing every day, man.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's part of my personality. I have a strong character, and I get super aggressive when I'm especially like in the middle of a busy hour. I think where I saw my shift is I realized that the secret to having a successful business is that you can't do it alone. You have to have a bunch of other people as a team.
Yes.
Make it happen.
Yes.
And how do you keep those team members there? Is like you got to make it an enjoyable place to come. And so it's not like, and also as a boss, you set the pace. You could come into a team that's working and they're in a shitty mood. And if you're the boss, you come in and you're like in a good spirit and you're like, hey, how's it going? And you start bringing it upbeat. It could completely change the tempo of the room. And the same thing vice versa. There could be a bunch of cooks that are having a great time. As soon as the boss comes in, he's a dick. Everybody gets in a bad mood, and then there's a shitty. So you have to come in and as a positive note. That's part of being a good leader, a good manager, a good owner, a good chef, whatever. Someone in charge has to have that attitude. So I started realizing that. I think more so as I became an owner, and I think I got away with it a lot longer, not doing it because I was working in a place where it was a big funded place, like a hotel that somebody wanted to work for because of the benefits and all these other things that I could get away with being a little bit meaner.
Yeah.
But in a cookie shop and in a donut shop, there's so many other places that a cook can work.
Yeah.
Like, you got to really do something different. Why do those cooks want to come and work for you? You know, that's a job that doesn't pay all that great, but we do pay well in our company. And also, there's a lot of other competition that they can go work for. So what sets you apart is you really want to make this a fun place to come. And work's always going to be a grind. You know, you want them to work hard, especially if you're a successful, busy shop, you know?
So let's get into that. The question you're going to ask yourself, why do they want to come work for me? What answered that question?
Well, I've been lucky because I've had a really great career and I've accomplished a lot. So I'm very well known in the area as one of the top pastry chefs to work for. So honestly, I haven't really had much of a problem hiring people that want to work for me because they want to learn.
But to answer that question, I mean, just through like observation, they want to come work for you because they know that they're going to get an education.
And I think that's part of
they're going to grow. They're going to learn. They're going to become better versions of themselves.
Yeah, you want to, as one of the things that you want to offer as a good employer is that you want to constantly be inspiring and also teaching and helping them grow.
Yeah.
And we nurture that here at Batch. And I learned a lot of that from my current business partner, Adam August. I didn't know him at all, and we met through LinkedIn. He reached out to a bunch of different like top pastry chefs in the area when he thought about opening a cookie shop. And I think I was the only one that responded just because remember I said I had two mantras that at the beginning before we started. The other one was that, you know, every single opportunity that's brought to me, I answer it. I respond to it. Better said. I respond to it because like that cheesy, you know, quote somewhere that, you know, you take 100 chances that you take or whatever, the 100 chances that you don't take are 100 misses or whatever how it is, you know?
You miss 100 of the chances you don't take.
Exactly. So you said it better.
Something like that.
But honestly, like, no matter how small or how like stupid it sounds, if somebody sends me a message on Instagram, LinkedIn, I've gotten a bunch of job offers. We haven't even gotten to my consulting part of, you know, I've opened 9 donut shops all around the world in the last 3 years since I left the Salty Donut.
I know, and I really want to get into that. And I just want to summarize the
and
big
that happened because of that. Because
Yeah.
every single person that reached out to me that had it, I responded to their message that they sent me on Instagram or on LinkedIn or whatever it was, and I followed up on it. And so take every opportunity to there's so many people that I know that never even look at their DMs. I answer every single DM, and sometimes it's up to 50 or 100 a day.
I bet, man.
And that's how crazy
you
I
answered
am.
mine, I think, or maybe it was Rory that introduced
and I do it with whoever, you know,
Yeah.
whoever calls it. And you know what's cool about that is I've gotten so many people that actually like, they think that I'm their friend and they believe like we're friends, and that's what I want them to feel like. I try to use their names. Like, I'll actually go into their Instagram handle and I'll see if like under like the description in the bio they have their name there, so I use it when I respond. Like, these are all little tricks that I feel like I've done to connect with people, and I want them to feel like, hey, you're part of the family and you're coming here. And I never say the word customer. I always use guest. That's something that I learned at the Ritz, but it's really stuck with me.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Ritz earlier, but before we, just real quick, I want to put emphasis on the key takeaways about getting to the point. One of the biggest lessons you learned is you got to transition from command and control, dictate, shout orders to come with me, lead, inspire, motivate.
Very well said.
And the big things the things you learned is that you have to be enthusiastic. You have to be mindful of your energy when you're walking in.
Yes.
And you also have to ask yourself, why come work for me? And that could be different for everybody, but you need to know the answer. So when you're selling yourself and your business to your future employee, they know what they're going to get. And if you can focus on personal growth, if you can make people better, if you can provide those skills, that's huge. The big takeaways I pulled from what you just dropped on us